Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about alternative of JSX in React.js. And in this video I will teach you about what is the alternative of JSX. And it is a simpler and more concise way of writing the React element. But remember guys, it's better for smaller application, not recommended for the complex application. I will prove it, but how? Let me do on the code example. So go on the VS Code. And you remember last time we created this demo, we have added the composition component and we have also created some multiple components and how we can split the multiple components and how we can write down the CSS and JSX. But today I'm going to show you how this all is working. So let me press F12. So you can see here on the backend we have created, let me show you first code first. You can see here we have the app.js component. It's showing the alternative of JSX. This is div element, and then we have students record cust custom control, and in students custom control we have some composition component. These are all custom controls. But if we go on the back end, you can see here what browser is doing and what browser is generating. These are all the divs. There is no React custom controls. So that means that when we start the project on the back end, we actually our code is transformed into the browser HTML, right? So that developers can work on it and users what the browser understand. NPX actually transformed that in that particular language. If I go and on the sources, if I go on the static and you can see there's a bundle.js file. This file is basically what actually React generates, right? So today I will tell you if I'm not using the JSX because React prefers the JSX. If I do not use the JSX, what can I use other than JSX? So that is create elements. But React create elements. So what is React create elements? I will show you. First of all, for your information, guys, on the previous when we if any one of you have worked on the previous React.js applications, you can see there on at the top of the every page we write import React from React. So we in every project we import this React library. But now in the modern JavaScript or in the React, we do not import this React libraries. Why? Because in the modern JavaScript they have already added the support for the React. So what is the benefit of React? Actually, when if we do not if on the previous old JSX, if we do not pass the React library in the JS component, JSX do not work, but now they have added the support by default, so we do not need to write this. Second thing is, the most important thing is, what is the alternative of this? So I'm going to commit this HTML. Alternative of this is React. If I return and I will say React. So alternative of this is React dot. We have create elements. Like you remember, guys, when we write the JavaScript, we need to uh, get and bind every element with the JavaScript. This is almost the same thing. This create element is actually one of the React functions and it takes the input. So input is because we know all of you know that we need to bind the multiple HTML uh, tags into one single wrapper, top wrapper. So I'm using the div. I've already make a detailed video on this. Let me just explain you about this syntax of create element. The first thing is type. You can see here type. And the second thing we need to pass here is properties, if we have any property in the div element. And the third thing is we have children if we have any child items. So I will show you. So these are the three things which React elements require. Three arguments. The first one is type, the type of the HTML like div, h1, buttons, and the properties of like we need to pass styling. I will show you an example, and then we have the children. If we need to add any item in the div, like right now I'm showing div and this h1, so I will make this demo. So if I need to pass any styling, I will say, as you all know how we pass styling in React, so I will say style, like I will say color. I will make some color changes. Cool. And text align, center, and then some font size. Yeah, some font size. I can say it right. These are two arguments we pass. And the third one is properties. If I need to have any property, right? So sorry, third one is children. If I need to add any children. So right now in the div I have h1. So for adding any children, we need to write again react dot create element, right? Then same thing. I need to pass h2 or h1, whatever you like. Then I do not have any properties or any styling for this. And then the value means the children, what value I need to pass. So I will say alternative of react.js x. Cool. So all we need to do here, yeah, we need to pass this closing, which we are not passing it correctly. Return. What is the issue? Okay, that's cool. Then we have color, styling color, center, font size. That's cool. And then we have React element. Okay, that's cool. Oh, this is all we need to pass. So if I go on the output of the application, it's not showing anything. Why? What is the reason? If I go inspect elements, console, and it's showing error. Yeah, there is some typo mistake. A div is not closing the tag. It's cool, guys. You learn with this type of mistakes. You understand all this logics very clearly. So now again, so you need to have a good practice of understanding the errors. So I need to remove this because I do not need to pass text. So cool. I get a response. So now see on the back end what happened. If I go here, yeah. On the back end, you can see it's a simple div, root div and then h2. But I prefer it because how React is working actually, how React.js works actually, and then you will differentiate what is the benefit of JSX and what is the benefit of React.createElement. Actually, React.js don't use the browser DOM directly, insist, right? Other like other frameworks, React do not use the directly browser DOM. Instead, it uses the virtual DOM to design the UI and to interact with the browser. First, it created the virtual DOM and then it interacted with the browser, right? So virtual DOM is actually made up of React elements. Like I've created this one. I've created this React element. First of all, React will create the virtual DOM on their end, and then what they will do, they seem similar to HTML element, but they are actually the JavaScript objects. This is all I'm discussing about the backend things. Second thing is, in simple words, we can say that React elements are the instruction for how the browser DOM should be created. Like first on our first React will what React will do, React will do the create the virtual DOM. Virtual DOM is actually made up of React elements, and then it will pass the instruction to the browser DOM that this is how we are generating the elements. But they are not actually the HTML elements, the one we are creating on virtual DOM. They are actually JavaScript objects. But what we are in, then what React is doing, it actually instructing the browser DOM that this is the virtual DOM with what we have created, like I've just shown you, and then browser DOM adopt this virtual DOM, React virtual DOM, and show it. So this is how we are using the React dot create elements. And I've told you that in React previously we are using this library React because by default it supports the JSX syntax and react.createElements. But now in the modern JavaScript, in React, we do not need this because in modern it is added by default. But you can see here for create.react element, we still need this to import it. But for other items like using the JSX, we do not need it in React element. So I hope you understand it. I hope you understand this purpose of this video. Alternative of JSX is react.create elements, and in the create element, you need to pass every child and their properties and their children's and their types step by step. But in the JSX, you need to pass the simple HTML, and on the backend, NPS will transform it into the browser understandable code. And those all things are happening with DOM, virtual DOM. First, we create the virtual DOM and instruct the browser to adopt that thing in the browser DOM. So I hope guys you enjoyed it. And in the next coming videos, I'm going to work on the states and how we are going to manage the states events in React, and that going to help us to make our application more interactive, right? So thank you, have a good day, and don't forget to like and share and hit the bell icon.